always want to start with simple before you make things complicated and physically challenging. So once we've mastered that double leg variation, we've taken some time practicing that quad stretch and posture, we'll do the same thing from a single leg. So gotta practice getting into it. I'm gonna be in a slight high knee, up on the ball of this foot, sink down. You see my knee bend as my butt goes back, but my chest stays tall. This heel never touches the ground. You also want to watch out for the toes on that down foot from squeezing. Just use the ball of that foot. Sink into it, stretch and stretch, pause for a second, push down and come up. Again, as low as you can go, let the ankle bend, let the knee bend. They're the two primary joints we need to focus on developing here. But once we've gotten the hang of that slow eccentric, remember the progression. The next one is a fast eccentric with a pause. Little high knee, fast, come up under control. In that bottom position, I've said this a bunch, I'm gonna say it again, you're trying to feel a stretch in your quad primarily, your hamstring, and you should get a little stretch in the ankle, maybe down to the bottom of the foot, especially on the single leg version. So after the fast eccentric down, it's our slow eccentric down to vertical jump, bringing that knee up, land soft, that's part of the challenge on the same foot. And then the final variation for practicing is a fast eccentric, a fast concentric as high as you can go, not compromising how low you sink into it. Take a second between reps if you need it. Fast and fast. Make sure your chest stays tall. As we know, this isn't a great football position. So we've taken some reps practicing that single leg landing position. Now we want to do some different variations to practice switching from one foot to the other. So very similar to all those double leg jumps, we have a vertical variation, a linear forward and backward variation, lateral side to side variations. We're going to go diagonal forward, diagonal backward, and we're going to add a rotational variation to this. So a little bit different. You always want to jump off of one foot and land on the other in that exaggerated single leg landing position. So first one is vertical. Set it up, push down, jump as high as you can, land on the other foot as low and as soft as you can manage. If you're losing your balance, take a second until you come to balance, and then you'll jump back to the other side. Up on the ball of my feet, my toes aren't grabbing down. Let that foot kind of navigate that instability. So that's the vertical variation. Here's our linear variation. Start off the left foot, jump forward, land on the right foot, jump backward, land back onto the left foot. You also want to do it with the right foot leading. So right foot's in the back, jump forward to the left, as far as you can go, back to the right. Our lateral variation, if my left foot's down, I'm jumping to my right, onto my right foot, and then back onto my left foot. We don't want to do any crossing over. Diagonal's the same way, left foot to right, and then back the way you came. And last but not least, rotational. So if I'm facing you, jumping off my left foot, I'm gonna go as far to the right as I can, cover as much ground as I can, but in the air, I'm gonna rotate my shoulders, end up facing the end zone here, and land on my right leg. Pause it, you see I'm side to you now. Now going back, I wanna jump back to that original starting position. So push off this foot, I'll rotate toward you, and land back on my left foot. Back and forth. You'll do the same thing with the right foot leading. Push off right, land left. Push off left, land right. Like we did with those bilateral transitions, we also want to spend some time on our single leg landing position with transitions. So find one position. I'm not going to move very far, but just practice on bouncing one foot to the other, like a mini trampoline or a pogo stick is at the bottom of your legs. Every time your foot hits the ground, slight stretch in that Achilles and calf, and you're not popping up, just spring load back and forth. You can kind of do the same thing forward and backward, diagonal, get a little more space, but at no point are you pushing off and exploding out. I don't care how far you jump. I just want to see you bouncing like a bouncy ball, or like I said, a trampoline. Become a spring. That's a skill you can develop through a lot of practice. All right, final drill in this single leg progression. You'll go through all those big single leg landing jumps, but instead of just jumping back and forth, you're going to finish each rep by sprinting straight upfield 5, 10, maybe 15 yards, depending on your training goal. So if I'm doing a lateral jump, I'll show you from the side. Jump as high and as far as you can. As soon as you balance in that position, push into the ground and sprint forward. Sprint forward for however long that coach prescribes it for. Again, we're worried more about short bursts than long distance, so I like to keep this within the 5 to 10 yard range, but I'll leave that up to your discretion. You can get pretty creative with all these different variations. Remember, we have our diagonal jumps forward to sprint. I can do my diagonal jump backward to sprint. I can do my rotational jump to sprint. I can also sprint off of different jumps. Let's say the third landing is the one I push to sprint off of. Coach has a lot of discretion in that. You could also make it more of a reactive drill where athletes go back and forth until a coach's cue of go, clap, whatever it is, and they have to react and sprint out of there. Also like that a lot as a short and simple competition where two guys are on a line, two athletes, and there's a coach 5, 10 yards away. They call go. The guy who wins the race wins the rep. So again, get creative with that. That gives you near limitless options as far as transition and acceleration drills go.